Tonight, a spectacular flow of mud and debris as Mount Ruapehu's crater lake finally bursts its banks. Erupting into action, we look back at the history of one of our most active mountains. Another deadly motor racing crash raises questions of safety for New Zealand motor racing.
And there it is. Trent Johnson has hit the winning run.
And the Green Army celebrates historic St Patrick's Day victory as the Irish knock former champs out of the Cricket World Cup.
They were there today.
Kia ora, good evening. A huge mud flow spewed down Mount Ruapehu today after its crater lake burst its banks. The Lahar closed major highways and the main railway line in the central North Island. There's no reports of anyone being hurt, and the government is praising the way its agencies responded to the emergency.
The first shots of the Lahar's wake, a river of mud and water snaking down from Mount Ruapehu, from the air and from the ground. Police closed the desert road and State Highway 49 near Oakune.
It didn't take long before the boulders just disappeared and you could hear the rumbling as they moved with the volume of water.
I said it's a bit scary. It's been a long time coming.
It's really muddy and dirty.
The Lahar's history dates back more than 10 years. When the mountain erupted in 1995 and 1996, a build-up of ash, sand and other debris called tephra created a dam at the crater lake. But water levels have been rising for months and the dam was eroding on its downstream side. At around 11 this morning, the dam collapsed over a period of 45 minutes, spewing its contents down the mountain, picking up debris in its wake. The crater lake contained 1.2 million cubic metres of water. It's unclear whether all of it streamed down the mountain. DOC says the Lahar followed its predicted path from the mountain down the Ruapehu Valley, generating a wave of 4 to 5 metres. It reached Tangiwai, the scene of a terrible train disaster in 1953, where 151 people were killed after a Lahar wiped out the rail bridge. The main trunk railway was closed as a precaution, but is now reopened.
It's obviously a pretty fantastic event. It's come down through the normal pattern. Our alarm systems worked. We got early warning of it. We've then had everybody clear, had trains clear to make sure that nobody was placed at risk.
A footbridge on the round the mountain track between Tukino Mountain Road and Rangipo Hut is likely to have been damaged. A stock bank designed to prevent the Lahar from getting into the Tongariro catchment has held. The government says it's pleased its emergency alert system has worked.
Well, there's a sense of relief because we've been waiting for this to happen for over 7 years, and it's like a pregnancy that's finally come to term.
The desert road has now reopened, but State Highway 49 remains closed, while 2 bridges are being inspected.
The community's been kept safe, and we now have a system that works that we'll need in the future because it's a very dynamic landscape on Mount Ruapehu, and we've had 45 Lahars since the Tangiwai disaster.
Scientists have yet to determine the exact cause, but heavy rain in the area over recent days may have been a factor in the dam burst. They'll visit the crater lake as soon as the weather allows. Mark Torley, One News.
Well, Donna Marie Lever is standing by in Tangiwai. What's the situation there at the moment, Donna Marie?
Well, it's been a hugely dramatic and spectacular day here. Just behind me is the river where the Lahar spewed through just a matter of hours ago. And officials, of course, saying that everything did go like clockwork. Best of all, though, no major damage or injury.
Thanks, Donna Marie Lever in Tangiwai. Well, reporter John Newton joins us now from near the mouth of the Ruapehu River on the coast just south of Wanganui. John, it seems like the water's heading your way.
Well, that's right, Bernie. I'm standing on the State Highway 3 bridge over the Ruapehu River, which is right next to the Ruapehu village. And that settlement, of course, is no stranger to flooding, having been completely inundated in 2004. However, the Lahar is expected to take about 19 to 20 hours to reach here, just depending on how fast it keeps going. And when it gets here, the locals say that they've been told that not to expect their houses to be flooded again. However, when we were upriver early this afternoon, we saw a real torrent of water carrying with it all kinds of wood and debris. When that arrives here tomorrow morning, I expect the locals will be able to watch and see what happens.
Thanks for that, John Newton, live from a very breezy Whangaehu. And today's Lahar has always been expected, especially on a mountain with a long history of activity. It's the latest act in a scientific puzzle that's long pitted the experts against nature.
For more than a decade, Ruapehu's crater lake has been rising. The scientists have been monitoring, the authorities planning, and the central North Island has been waiting for the Lahar they always knew would come. Flowing from Ruapehu's crater lake, the Whangaihu River is one of the most active Lahar paths in the world. Since the days of disasters in black and white, this mountain has been making headlines.
Mount Ruapehu is in eruption.
In 1945, ash fell as far south as Wellington. But it was in 1953 that New Zealand's biggest rail disaster occurred after a Christmas Eve Lahar. Volcanic debris from the 45 eruption washed away the Tangiwai rail bridge, sending the Auckland Express and 151 passengers to their deaths. In 1969, another eruption, another mudflow. In 1975, another Lahar, similar in size to Tangiwai, swept down the mountain, killing thousands of trout in the rivers on its path. Fast forward 20 years to 1995, and with no warning,
Oh, who's up there? I hope no one's up there.
the mountain blew again.
It was like fireworks. It was just these huge rocks just being pelted up.
And the very next year, to the dismay of ski field operators, Ruapehu erupted again. Ash and steam sent several kilometres into the air.
The crater lake is now dry, but the concern is when it fills up, it could force the wall to collapse.
In 1997, the official report from DOC: if the dam breaks, twice the amount of debris that crashed into Tangiwai in 1953 could come down the mountain.
There is the risk that that area will rapidly fail.
4 years later, the government rejected plans to bulldoze part of the crater dam, instead opting to install an alarm system. An embankment was also built in an attempt to control the Lahar, now seen as a certainty. The waiting game began in earnest, and as the lake levels rose and alarm levels increased, for months now, all eyes have been on Ruapehu's crater lake. It's always been a matter of when, not if, the next Lahar would make its muddy trail down the mountain. Sonia Wilson, One News.
And just to recap on exactly what happened today. At around 11 a.m, the crater lake on Mount Ruapehu burst its banks. It triggered warning systems, but the Lahar's flow didn't cause any major damage. Police closed the desert road and State Highway 49 near Ohakune. All roads are now open. The main trunk railway line has also reopened. To other news today. Welcome back. Just updating you on the Mount Ruapehu Lahar. We're crossing live to reporter Donna Marie Lever in Tangiwai. Donna Marie, what can you tell us?
Well, weather conditions here are still preventing scientists from going in, having a closer look at the situation. What they have been able to tell us is it was a very moderate and slow release Lahar, and hence no damage from that. They also haven't seen any activity come off any of the sensors up there since 1 o'clock this afternoon, so we're not really expecting to see much more happening right here. They will expect to go in there first thing tomorrow morning.
Thanks, Donna Marie Lever in Tangiwai. And of course, One News will have more coverage of the Lahar from 6:30 tomorrow morning.